Any year that passes by in which you don't destroy one of your best loved ideas is a wasted year. That's what Charlie Munger once said, and when I read it, I thought a lot about it. And it's true because a lot of times, and we don't like to admit this, but a lot of times we are more wrong than we think. Our ideas are often not the best despite how much we'd like to believe. And so I thought I'd make this video into that experiment and I would share with you three simple principles that I've adopted now that I didn't have before, that have changed my ideas and also made it possible for me to be more happy and more successful. Let's get into it. Number one, ask yourself what is worth wanting. For the longest time, I've always believed that knowing what you want is important. But recently, my thought process has changed, and for good. Because now, knowing what you want is pretty easy and you don't need a lot of thinking for it as well. If you'll say that I just want to be a millionaire, or I want to be an Olympic athlete, or I want to become a good teacher, I want to become a good author, ChatGPT will literally give you the plan. You don't even have to think. Just put into the AI, how do I become this? And you will have a step-by-step plan. So knowing what you want is no longer the specific skill that you need here. It's knowing what's worth wanting. And that's a deeper question. Because you can become a millionaire, an athlete, a teacher, an author, or anything else that you want. But will that fulfill you? Will that push you forward? Will that bring you joy? Is it something that you will truly call worthwhile in your life? And now those are questions that no template, no AI, no playbook can answer for you. You are the only one, and that is why they matter so much. Because clarity of direction is easy to find, but whether or not that direction even matters is the more important question. And how do you find that answer? Sit with yourself. Understand what your inner self is telling you. Listen to your intuition and the thoughts that come up. I know this doesn't sound very practical or straightforward, but it matters because we've come to not trust ourselves. We think that everything we do needs to be backed up by data, needs to be backed up by evidence of ourselves or of someone else. And so when it comes to questions like these, of feelings and of real inner deep feelings, we back away. We don't face them because the truth is that, and we know it at heart, that we don't find those answers in data or evidence. We find those answers in listening to ourselves, and they matter. They really matter. I've started asking myself this question recently, and everything I do, from making these videos to writing my posts to every other action, has become a lot more fulfilling for me because I've clarified that yes, this is worth wanting for me, this matters to me, and it has made motivation very simple for me. I don't have to motivate myself, I just have to show up for what matters. The same will happen with you. Number two, embrace discipline. I know you're groaning at that idea, but hear me out and let me offer a different perspective. We hate discipline because it seems like a big, hard thing to do, and even I hated it for the longest time. Because just imagine waking up at 5:30 in the morning with groggy eyes, with barely open eyelids, getting out of your comfortable bed and then wanting to exercise and do a lot of physical effort. It sounded like a very bad idea to me. That was the last thing I wanted to do in that kind of a state, but I knew that working out was important for me. It was necessary. So on some days, I was able to push myself. I was able to create that zone and just do that, but on many days, I didn't. I skipped it because in my head, discipline was this big, boring, unbearable thing. But what changed? How did I move away from that and actually start disciplined action every single day? Well, I changed the way I thought about discipline. And that happened with a very simple idea. The safest way to get what you want is to deserve what you want. When I understood that, everything changed. Because if I want a healthier body and a healthier mind, I have to deserve it. And how do I deserve it? by exercising, by putting in the effort, by working out, and by making sure that I work for the results. If I want to be a better writer, I need to deserve it by working hard at it, by putting in the effort, by reading a lot of books, by writing a lot of things and then editing them ruthlessly. And it applies to every single thing that we do in our lives. The moment we realize this, things change, our actions change, because now suddenly discipline is not this big, boring, and huge thing that we have to do. It's just the means to an end. It's the way we get to deserve what we want. And if we really want it, if that matters to us, and that is why the first question was important, if it is worth wanting, then we will show up with discipline, because we know that this is just a part of the process. This is just something I have to do to get to my goals. And suddenly discipline won't be this hard for you. You will be able to show up day after day after day, because your goals, your achievement, and your success will be more important than this temporary mood that you have. You will be able to put yourself out of this state where you seek pleasure, where you seek relief, and put yourself into that focused state that creates results, because that is what matters to you. And this brings us to the third mindset shift. Be willing to be wrong. I know when we think of success, this doesn't immediately register, because in our heads, success is the result of being right about something, not being wrong. But the truth is different. The stories are different. Over the last 6 years, I've learned a lot about writing. I've fallen in love with stories, with the art of crafting and building the right narrative. And in that, I've read a lot of books, especially biographies. And if you read biographies, you will notice a trend in each one. The person who succeeded did not do it without struggle. They had challenges, they made the wrong decisions, they messed up, they failed, they fell flat on their face, their egos were hurt, they were bruised, but they still showed up and they still made it happen. How? Because they had this one characteristic that a lot of us don't have. They were willing to be wrong. When things went wrong, when they failed, they didn't blame the boss, they didn't blame themselves, they didn't blame the outer situation, they didn't blame the weather. Instead, they looked in and they figured out why they were wrong, where they were wrong, and thought of improving from that state. And that is when they got things right. That is when they improved. That is when their life started to shift around. But for most people, protecting their egos is more important than protecting their progress. They would rather look right in front of the other person instead of actually learning from the mistake and improving and changing their life. And that is why the competition to success is very low. If you just put your ego aside and you accept that you were wrong, you will be able to change your life. And it happens in 3 very simple steps. So what do? Number 1, you utter the 3 magic words. I was wrong. Accept it. Bring it out in front of the light and accept that you messed up, accept that you were wrong, because this will then lead you to the second most important question, and that is, how can I improve? And the moment you ask this question, things change. Suddenly you're not focused on being right. You're focused on doing right. You're focused on changing your mental state, on changing your thoughts, and on changing your actions, which brings us to step number 3. What can I do to be better? And success is just this loop repeated over and over and over and over again. The more often you do this, the more often you recognize your mistakes and improve on them fast, the higher your chances of success. It literally is just a game of probability. So show up. Show up for yourself. Show up for the goals that matter to you. And if you're losing a stupid argument, lose it. It doesn't matter, because everybody else will forget about that in 2 days, and you winning an argument will definitely not be something that gets you the kind of success you want. So show up for yourself, focus on the ideas that really matter to you, and build the life the way you want. These were the 3 main ideas that shifted my perspective, that made it possible for me to grow, to be better, to make these videos better. And I want you to learn from them, but also reflect. What are some of my ideas that I would like to change? What are some of my mistaken beliefs that need to improve? Reflect on this question. And if you'd like, share the answer in the comment section. I would love to help you out. I would love to listen to your thoughts.